Well, with the banks in the news, I thought it'd be appropriate to give a simple explanation or definition of what the fractional reserve banking system is and what it means. It's a pretty complicated topic, and I think unless you boil it down to a real life experience, it'd be very difficult for people to understand what it means. Basically, what it means is, if you go to the bank and you want to buy a home, I'm just going to take the large purchases that most people make in their lifetime because I think that's probably the most relevant. You go to the bank and you've saved up $10,000 to buy a home. So you give the bank $10,000. The bank then, because of the fractional reserve system and the laws that are in place, is allowed to loan out 10 times what you gave them. So you deposit $10,000. Let's say your home costs $100,000. So then they can create a clerical entry in their accounting books, $100,000 to give to the seller, and then you will pay back about $300,000, assuming you have a 30-year mortgage. You'll roughly 3 times depending on the interest rate, of course, could be much higher. But the bottom line is the banks did not create anything. They simply took your $10,000 and then made a clerical entry to create $100,000. Now, I don't know about you, but if I go to work, I don't get to just add zeros to my paychecks. That's not something that is allowed. I have to give time in exchange for the money. And the banks give absolutely no time in a comparative percentage value of how much they're creating. There's 0 time to create as many dollars as necessary to keep you working. Okay, that's really how it works. And in the past, I think that system may have worked better when the dollars were backed by something physical. So they didn't get to make up time. They couldn't create time because no one else can. I can't. I know you can't. So if we can't create time, then why can the banks create time, and why can we go in debt that amount of time? Doesn't seem like it makes a whole lot of sense, considering that the debt that we're running, and every country pays taxes, and if you're going to work, you're going to pay taxes. So if you're born today, you're born in debt. Okay, every time a child is born, that little child is in debt. And they will pay off that debt, whatever country they happen to be in, they're going to work to pay off that debt. So even though they never signed anything, never signed a contract, never agreed to go into debt, they're in debt as soon as they are born. So the fractional reserve system, because it's not backed by anything today besides cotton bushes, of course, that's what they'll use to create the dollar bills, is not an equitable system for anyone except, of course, the banks. So if you like the banks, more power to you. There you go. But if you don't like the banks, then you need to peacefully, of course, demonstrate that your dislike or your unhappiness with the banking system, and what can you do in order to alleviate some of your anger without going postal, so to speak. Well, one very easy way is to simply go out and find out what the banks don't want you to buy, and then buy it. It's really that simple. So if you wanted to find what the banks don't want you to buy, you would look for where the banks are shorting or betting that the price will go down of something. Could be anything. But the only thing that I can find in the whole economy that the banks want to go down, of everything that you could purchase, from real estate to cars to toilet paper to you name it, anything you want to buy, there's only one thing that the banks do not want you to buy. And what the banks don't want you to buy is silver. And the reason they don't want you to buy silver is because silver is money. Okay? It's as simple as that. Silver is money. And it's not the money that the banks want to use. The banks do not want to use silver as money. The banks will and would like and are using gold as money. So if you buy gold, you're voting for the banks. If you buy silver, you're voting against the banks. So let's vote.